Hello, everybody. My name is Jill Osborne. I am the president and founder of the Interstitial Cystitis Network. It is Friday, June 21st. This is our second half of the support group meeting we were doing today. I did have to leave and go do something very quickly. I am now back. We have another hour, and so I thought I would come online and see if anybody had any questions that I could help them with on their interstitial cystitis. Hi, Betsa. How are you? It is a gorgeous day here in California. The summer solstice, longest day of the year. How cool is that? Which means it's the shortest night of the year. So if you're having a flare, it'll be the shortest nighttime flare you've had in the entire year. So we'll look at it. We'll look at it in a funny way like that. Right. Yeah. Hi, Sherry. Thanks for coming back, hon. Guys, I'm sorry I had to run like that. But that is life in the Osborne house, right? Um, I closed, so the IC network has two offices. We have one up in Healdsburg where our warehouse and store is, where most of our IC network staff work. And then I closed my office down here. I had a beautiful small office down on our local highway, but I had to be home to care for myself, but more importantly, to care for my elderly parents. So I work from home. If you haven't figured that out, which is why I often work until 2 in the morning. Susan, hello, drink water, girl. I was gonna go get a smoothie, but there was a huge line, so I came back and just got water instead. I've been drinking, I know that there are kind of mixed reviews about LaCroix. I really like their berry and their mango and just their unflavored one. But I heard that their stock tanked or something. I'm not sure what that was. But I have found these to be really bladder friendly. I've never had a flare for them at all. At all. Thank you, Jennifer. So we're simulcasting on Facebook and on YouTube right now. I also like hint water in terms of the summer waters. But for those of you who don't know, we have a really good website called the icdietproject.com. And dang it, I wish, I'm very tempted to, can I switch Facebook over to screen share? It's so frustrating here because I'm not using broadcasting software. Hold on a sec. I wonder if I can. No, I can't. Anyway, icdietproject.com. We've got a really good series of articles on summer, enjoying summer food as well as drinks. And so I'm going to go there right now. God, I got to get this worked out so I can screen share. So right now on the IC Diet Project, we have breakfast ideas, which is avocado toast, which I happened to have this morning for breakfast, avocado toast, fresh strawberry muffins, churros, slow cooker pear and applesauce, pumpkin apple streusel muffins, oatmeal yogurt parfaits. And in recipe categories, if you go to beverages, the first one is enjoy a soda again, Italian style. Italian soda, the problem with the big mass market sodas is there's a ton of sugar and there's a ton of caffeine, as well as acids added for flavoring. But and they're really dark, they're really strong. Think about the last time we had a Mountain Dew or a Dr. Pepper. Man, those suckers are strong. When you make your own Italian soda, you're making a very, very light soda. So it's like literally clear with a little tiny bit of coloring in it. And that's the little tiny bit of flavoring. And it's much more bladder friendly. So with Italian sodas, you can get raspberry flavoring, you can get coconut flavoring. You know what? Hold on. I think I even have some. Hold on. Let me go look. So, like, I really love all things coconut. And so Torani coconut flavoring is pretty icy friendly. I mean, it does have sugar in it, but you use so little of it. You like use half a shot glass, right? Smells like coconut. This is a little, yeah, this expired a year ago. I'm not going to be using it today. I thought it looked a little bit orange, but anyway, you can go with the Taranis. The challenge with the Taranis is they do have a little bit of citric acid in it, but again, you're using like the equivalent of a half a shot glass in something like this. So the acid is really neutralized. But you can make your own Italian soda flavoring too. I mean, you can literally cook some raspberries down in a saucepan, strain them out, make your own raspberry flavoring, stuff like that. I mean, think about doing that. You don't have to. I mean, the problem is that we've all been trained by the big soda companies to think that it has to be super sweet to be satisfying. And it doesn't. When you do those little essence waters with that little bit of flavoring, they're really wonderful. So again, on the Icy Diet Project, under beverages, we've got Enjoy a Soda, again, Italian style. We've got cool summer drinks, fresh herbs, sun, and sweet teas that are herbal teas. We've got infused spa waters where you can, on how to make flavored water drinks that, again, so we've got great combinations: mint, rosemary, sage, pears, apples, blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, peaches, watermelon, honeydew. You can use lemon peel or lime peel that have a tiny bit of acid in it when compared to lemon juice. You can do spices. You can experiment: strawberry and mint, peaches and vanilla bean, blackberries, mint, and lime peel. So we have all that over on the IC Diet Project, icdietproject.com. All right, so check that out. So again, what I'm drinking right now is just a LaCroix mango. I've never flared from it. Granted, I always use a lot of water, and I use a lot of ice. So, I mean, I use a lot of ice to dilute it. There are lots of other flavors besides strawberry. Hi, Paula. Hi, Lindsay. Hi, Kate. Sherry likes cream soda. Man, I cannot get cream soda down. That is really sickly sweet for me. I don't know. Once you've been off a regular soda, when you actually have a soda for the first time, you're stunned by how much sugar is in it. And it's just like gagging, sickly sweet. Oh, Lindsay is being naughty and drinking coffee. I had a little bit of decaf coffee yesterday myself. I make it a reward. Guys, listen, I do not have Hunter's lesions, and I'm not bladder wall driven. I am pelvic floor driven central sensitization. So I can handle more dietary irritants than some of you. I can get away with that little tiny bit of coffee. I don't drink a lot of it because I'm menopausal now, and I'm trying to protect my bladder, but you don't be remember with the diet, there are some people who are really diet sensitive and others who are not diet sensitive at all. And that's just because of your variant, your subtype of IC. Okay. Christy says soda is your downfall. Girl, man, you got to get rid of that soda. There is nothing. You got to remember that your body was designed for life thousands of years ago when there were no strong acids and no sugars like that. Sodas today are so devastating to the human body, especially over time. That massive amount of sugar, massive level of acid is nothing short of normal. The human body will never thrive on soda. And you guys, you got to remember too, for those of you who are diet soda drinkers, gosh, 10 years ago, we started seeing the research studies that have proven the diet sodas are linked to obesity. So what happens, because remember, we got this beautiful human body and brain that's controlling everything, right? So when you put something sweet in your mouth, you're that sensation of sweet goes to your brain, and your brain goes, all right, energy coming. And your body then knows that it gets to use that energy in some way. What happens when you do artificial sweets is number one, an artificial sweetener is like, some of them are like 500 times as sweet as normal sugar. So when you put that in your mouth, even though there's no calories attached to it, your brain goes, ooh, energy, 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 and it gets ready to absorb that energy chemically. But then the energy never arrives because there's no sugar in it. And so your brain goes, hey, where's my sugar? where's my energy? I need my energy. And what it does is it says if it can't find it, it triggers you to eat and you will eat more. And so what will happen is you will start craving carbs. So if you start the day with a sugary cereal, if you start the day with a soda or even an orange juice, you're messing with your insulin pathways, your body can't metabolize fat, and then worse, because your body's looking for energy and can't find energy, it makes you crave. And you just are eating and eating and snacking and snacking and snacking. And if you look at, it's interesting when you go to the grocery store, it's kind of appalling in a way, when you kind of look at people's shopping carts. And I mean, we're all a little bit judgmental on the inside. We don't see anything on the outside. But I double dog dare you to look at somebody who's buying diet soda and then look at all the snacks in their cart, because that's what happens. Artificial sugar makes you snack more. It does. And that's why it's a link to obesity. Kay says, are you selling Piora Poly 500 on your website? Not yet, hon. We don't have it in yet. They're making it next week, and we should have it the week afterwards. So as soon as we have Piora, we'll let you know. Piora, guys, is the PEA, the palmito ethanolamide, which has been used in Europe for many, many years to fight chronic pain. Natural Approach Nutrition is the first to bring it to the United States in a bladder supplement. It is currently in Bladder Builder. For those of you doing Bladder Builder, we're very excited that we have a supplement that actually has an ingredient in it that has been proven to reduce pain in an IC research study, right? This is nobody making this up. The study was presented a month ago at the American Urology Association. And then the Piora which is just the PEA and the resveratrol, should be in 10 days, hopefully 10 days to 2 weeks. So the Pure is a really clean, simple brand. There's nothing in it but the PEA and the resveratrol. We've taken anything else in there, even avocado, anything that might produce some sort of allergic reaction, because we want even the most sensitive of patients to be able to potentially try it. Marie says she got her bladder rest today. Oh yeah, Marie, didn't you win it? I think you won it in the support group meeting last Saturday. So all we gave away 3 bottles of Sister Renew at last weekend's support group meeting. So I hope you like it, hon. Let me know what you think. Guys, seriously, your feedback is everything. We need to know what you think, how you react. I keep saying, I love this company, Natural Approach Nutrition. I've loved working with them for the last year. I mean, it's a really great team of people, and they listen. And one of the things that I've said to them over and over is less is more for this group of patients. Don't throw a lot of stuff in there. Keep it as simple as you can, because we are so freakily sensitive to stuff, right? It's so weird how sensitive we are, but it explains it, because some of us have a variant of IC subtype 5 central sensitization, and I'm one of them. Like literally, we tend to have very sensitive skin. I have wickedly sensitive skin. All you have to do is give me a freaking mosquito bite and my whole arm burns. I got this 3 days ago. I don't even know what that is. What is that? Is that another? Oh my God. Is that another bite? Oh, the sucker got me twice. Look, I didn't even know I had a bite there. So I got a bite there and I got a bite there. I was chasing a mosquito around in this office the other night. Here, hold on. Let me go. I gotta go put some clobetasol on it. Hold on a second. That sucker tagged me at night 2 nights ago. Like, there are only 3 insects I will go out of my way to kill. Number 1, mosquitoes. Number 2, cockroaches. Thankfully, we don't have that many in where I live, but our local grocery store has a problem with cockroaches. Every now and then you bring a bag home and out pops a cockroach. I chase them until I kill them. And then there's a third one. I don't remember what the third one. I rescue spiders and all this sort of stuff. Guys, here's a product that would be really good for you to have on hand. We don't sell it. It's called Anacream. It's an over-the-counter version of lidocaine cream. And this is what I put on bites. So here it is right here. And it's just a really simple, white cream. And you can rub it on anything that's hurting. See, I just put the steroid there. So you can just rub it right into any bites. It works for vulvodynia. It works really, really well for bites. It's not quite as strong as a typical lidocaine jelly that you might get from a compounding pharmacy, but it is 5%. And so I think having something like this on hand for moments when you have a hemorrhoid that's screaming, or a bug bite or whatever, or psoriasis, or even um, poison oak, having something like Anacream on hand is great. Again, we don't sell it. It's just I just get it at my local drugstore. It's like $35, but I'm telling you, for those of us who are just wickedly sensitive, it's how you get through the night. I just get so when I have bites, I can't stand it. All right. Lindsay says hint water is expensive. Then make your own, hun. Just make your own. Get water, ice cubes, get some cucumber slices, get some raspberries, get some blueberries, or even little slices of mango. You can do it. In fact, that's what we should all be doing, because we all should be reducing our consumption of plastic anyway. Like, let's get real food and make real food. By the way, I'm going to ask you guys something. Does anybody I'm really trying to cut plastic consumption down in my house. And so it just kind of like kills me that, again, like with the Anacream, I think about the trillions of tubes of toothpaste that are in landfills, right? Or the trillions of containers of laundry detergent, or whatever. Does anybody know of any bar dish soaps? It's like a bar that comes wrapped in paper. I really am trying to switch over to stuff. Tammy G, I was wondering about ditrophan and estradiol. I haven't started it. What are your thoughts? Okay, they do very, very different things, Tammy. Ditrophan is a smooth muscle relaxant that can relax bladder spasms. Estradiol will deliver estrogen to your tissues so that they can produce mucus. So very apples and oranges. If you are struggling with any estrogen atrophy, thinning of your tissue down there, using a topical estrogen makes sense, because it will help your body produce mucus. The ditrophan acts in a very, very different way. If you're one of those people where you have bladder spasms usually occur as the last couple of drops of urine are coming out of your urethra, and it's like a violent, like, bend over, ow sensation, like you're sitting on the toilet going, oh my God, what is that? Um, uh, a smooth muscle relaxant like ditrophan generally will turn those spasms off in about 20 to 30 minutes. I've only had bladder spasms once in my life. That was with a really bad bladder infection that we thought was a flare for 6 weeks. And then it got so, so bad, I started having bladder spasms. Linda says, is Jell-O safe? Oh, I eat Jell-O on occasion. I just cringe every time I do it. There's nothing nicer on a hot summer evening than having a Jell-O whipped cream kind of frozen thing that can be very, very flavorful. Jell-O's filled with artificial flavors. It's got a lot of sugar in it. It's a lot of colorings in it. It wouldn't be my first choice, but I don't know anybody who's ever had a flare from Jell-O. I do it. I just don't do it a lot. Lena says, my doctor wants me to try amitriptyline for your bladder, but didn't explain what it would do. So amitriptyline is a low dose antidepressant. And is that another bite? Oh, I don't think so. Okay. So in low doses, an antidepressant can calm the nerves down in your body as a whole and in your pelvis. So amitriptyline is a step 2 treatment option in the AUA treatment guidelines, known as Elavil. Um, and you're doing it because in low doses over time, it can calm your nervous system down. The challenge with amitriptyline is it has a ton of side effects. I'm sorry to say. It is really well known for dry mouth, dry eyes, racing heartbeat, which is what happened to me. And we call it the Elavil 20. There's something about Elavil amitriptyline that makes you eat more. And so it's very common for people taking antidepressants to gain weight, amitriptyline to gain weight. And once you stop the medication, the weight gain usually disappears pretty quickly. That said, again, it's a step 2 treatment option. You're not taking it for depression. Uh, and some patients get offended when they say, "Hey, try this antidepressant," because you think they're telling you that it's all in your head. It's not. Antidepressants are used in pain clinics because they do calm nerves down. So it's a valid intervention. It's just a fairly side effect prone medication. I lasted 3 months on it myself. And what it did for me is it activated a third electrical node in my heart. It took years to go away. So, your heartbeat is normally boop, 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 right? When your heartbeat is thump, 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 thump. That is your SA node and your AV node in your heart triggering that contraction. So thump, 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 thump. Amitriptyline kind of turns more nerves on in your heart. So what it did for me is it triggered a third node. So my heartbeat was thump, 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 thump. Or it was thump, 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 because two nodes would be beating at the same time. And so I personally won't touch that with a 10-foot pole for myself. If you're taking it and you start having any racing heart, anything weird, PVCs, feeling like your heart is beating very, very strongly, you absolutely need to let your doctor know, because it just might not be the right medicine for you. You know what, guys? Can you hold on one sec? IC Network, this is Jill. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So you can find posting on that right on our website, right on the front page of the IC Network, where we explain what it is and what your options are. And if you want, I would be happy to give you a phone call back and explain it more, but I'm actually doing a support group meeting right now. What's your number? Well, okay. So Sister Protect now has a cancer warning on it. And so quite a few patients are choosing not to take it anymore because the company has not issued any statements about it. So if this was about your order, we needed you to know about that so that we wouldn't send you something with a cancer warning on it without you knowing about it first. Okay? I don't know. I'm 20 miles away from where Heather is. Yeah. So I don't know what her message was, but if you want to give me your name, we can try to work it out. Why don't you give me your phone number and let me call you back in about an hour, okay? Okay, what's your number? Yeah, yeah. No, okay, hon. I'll try to call you back in about hour and a half, okay? Okay, bye-bye. All right, sorry about that, guys. Hello, yet another patient talking about Sister Protect's cancer warning. And when they're, I don't know, it's so weird. I get this like instinct that I'm supposed to answer a phone for something important. And so I apologize for disrupting this meeting, but that was kind of important. All right, let's get back to your questions. I love the way you guys support each other. And I'm telling you, YouTube, you guys rock. And for everybody on Facebook, if you can come over to our YouTube channel and like it, that would be awesome. The more likes we have, the more flexibility we will have with future broadcasts. So even if you watch it on Facebook, it's really helpful if you come do it on, if you come subscribe to our YouTube channel or just click like or whatever. I'm missing something on YouTube. Somebody, it sounds, all right. All right, let's go back to Facebook here. Christy. Okay, Christy says, very devastating to the body. You have a Hunter's lesion, so you're in constant pain, but you cannot quit my soda, even though you know your pain is from your soda. All right, girl. I'm gonna double dog dare you. Let me give you. I'm gonna give you the. Let me give you a something to try to swap that. The first thing that it would be really helpful for you to do is, you know what? Go buy if you have. Go buy some sparkling water, okay, and get a flavor like mango or berry, whatever. But the mango is pretty good, or just a plain sparkling water. Every day, I want you to reduce the soda. I don't know how many sodas you're having a day, but you're absolutely right. Your bladder will never heal if you're drinking soda. Done over. You are your own worst enemy in this. It is physically impossible for the bladder to repair itself if you're pouring acid on the wound every day. The challenge is you right now are struggling with um, tolerance to whatever's in the soda that's got you, whether it's the sugar or the caffeine. You like millions of other people are being victimized by the companies. They know damn well their products create an addiction response. They don't care. They just want your money. And at some point in time, you've got to get angry about that and say, I'm not going to give the company that's doing this to me and to my family another penny of my money. So, I'd like you to do a one-on-one swap. If you do 6 sodas a day, for a couple of days, do 5 and 1 sparkling water. And then the next day, do 4 and 2 sparkling waters, or go down by half. But girl, you need to be off of that soda in a month. You need to be off of that soda in a month. You have Hunter's lesions. It is absolutely making your lesions worse, and you're in pain because of it. I again, for me, the biggest motivation, I think, is anger that a company and companies are damaging millions of people all for the sake of money. It is so outrageous. They know what sodas do. Why do we have Happy Meals? The reason there are Happy Meals is to get kids addicted young because they want a lifelong customer. And they want your child to have a soda or even a juice, because the juice is just as addictive as the soda, along with a hamburger that has sugar in the bun, in the ketchup, as well as sugar potentially in whatever else they're giving them. And God forbid you throw in a sweet thing. It's all about getting your child addicted early so they become lifelong customers. You are the direct reflection of that. So I want you to become angry about that and say, I'm not giving this company another penny of my money. How dare they? It's not going to be easy, but you're going to do it because millions of people do it. Millions of people do it. You will do it. You have never been more prepared to deal with whatever happens to you in your life than you are at this very moment, because you are truly one day older and one day wiser. You can do this. I believe in you. Hi Cher, hi Vicky, hi Yvette. What has somebody said, Lena? Hold on a sec. I got us. Yeah. So amitriptyline doesn't calm the bladder wall. It just calms nerves down throughout your body. Tony says that she too gained weight doing amitriptyline. Yeah, me too. Hey, Jane. Jane says, I've been diagnosed with IC and looking for others who are struggling. Girl, you have come to the right direction and to the right place. But I really want you to understand that for every person online having a bad day, there are thousands having really good days. I don't want you to have the perception that everybody does bad when they have IC, because that's absolutely not true. And I'm living proof of that. That when my IC started at first, yeah, it was pretty rough, but healing does happen, and people get to better places very often quickly. Usually patients hit their worst in the first year, and then you slowly improve as you learn about treatments. But Jane, the most important thing for you to understand right now is something called subtyping. Not every patient is the same, and that's one of the challenges of coming online to Facebook. Is you can read lots of stories from lots of people not doing well, and you might think, oh my god, that might happen to me. But you have to understand that we are as different as an apple and an orange. So what we're and if there's one thing we've known, I mean, I've been an IC support group leader for 26 years this summer, um, is that a one treatment fits all approach does not work. Why? Because we're different. And when you look at how patients' symptoms begin, that's where you really see the differences. Because for some people, IC begins in childhood, while for others, IC begins after menopause. Are they the same? Absolutely not. For some people, IC begins after having a baby, while for other people, IC begins after chemotherapy. Are they the same? Absolutely not. And so, what researchers have been trying to do for the last 10 years is really try to define these variants of quote unquote IC. We call it phenotyping or subtyping. We want to know what your unique presentation of IC is so that we can target the right treatment for your unique presentation. And that's where support groups like Facebook and the IC Network Support Forum get a little tricky, because you keep reading about people not doing well, or you might have people telling you what you should do, but you don't know what their variant is. You don't know what their subtype is. For all we know, that's somebody with untreated Hunner's lesions drinking coffee every day. And of course, they're going to be in terrible pain doing that. Whereas you might have another person whose IC began after having a baby and she's got a muscle injury. And the thing about muscle work is more successful than any other therapy at reducing the symptoms of IC. And when that study came out in 2008, that's when we knew that IC was not just a bladder disease. We knew that muscles are involved in the great majority of patients, and muscle injury is often the triggering factor in many patients. So, Jane, it'd be very interesting for you to go back in time and ask yourself, what do you think triggered your symptoms? Nicole says she found coconut milk rice pudding. Ooh, I'd like to try that. I like rice pudding. Jennifer says, what can be used for spasms? If you're having bladder spasms, bladder is composed of smooth muscle. And so you need a smooth muscle relaxant, and that is usually ditropan, oxybutynin, ditropan. If you're having pelvic floor spasms after sex, pelvic floor muscle is striated muscle. It's different. It's a different type of muscle that needs a different type of muscle relaxant. So if you're having pelvic floor spasms, you would be doing baclofen, which is a non-sedating muscle relaxant, or Flexeril, also known as cyclobenzaprine, which is what I use. It does have some sedating properties to it, so normally you just take it at night before you go to bed. Or you could do Valium or a vaginal Valium suppository. So you have to try to figure out what type of spasm you're having. Is it a bladder wall spasm or a pelvic floor spasm? And then the medication is unique for each one of those. God, my hands look red. Isn't that weird? They're not red. They just look red. Tony says she's been doing Intra Rosa, which is a combination estrogen testosterone cream. And that between that and pelvic floor therapy, you're in a remission. Awesome, girl. Oh, I'm so happy for you. Ironically, I was at my gynecologist yesterday because I'm dealing with this ridiculous kind of eczema like thing down below. And I was talking to her about intrarosa, and I said, "Don't you want to do an estrogen testosterone test?" And she goes, "No, because we would treat it the same way anyway." And I said, "Well, what about intrarosa?" And she said, "Yeah, it's compounded. I can't really prescribe it." And it's like, I'd like more information on that myself. Being a being a woman sucks sometimes, right? The whole the whole it's so icky. When your vulva is screaming, it's like, "Oh my god." Jane, what about smoking? Cigarette smoking is the number one cause of bladder cancer. You have to think about it. When you're breathing in all those carcinogens, where are they going? They don't just stay in your lungs, they get absorbed into your bloodstream. Then your body tries to get rid of them. And the way it does that is it filters them out through the kidneys, and then they end up in your urine. And your urine becomes a toxic stew of carcinogens. 20,000 plus byproducts of smoking or more end up in your urine. God forbid you have estrogen atrophy. You know, when you're young and you have a nice thick coating, you might be able to get away with smoking a little bit more. But seriously, once you have any sort of integrity to your bladder wall damaged in some way, or in your estrogen atrophy, all those carcinogens go right down to the tissue where they can cause bladder cancer. So cigarette smoking, it's really important that you stop cigarette smoking. Again, another example of companies selling you something that they know can kill you to make a buck. It's disgraceful. Susan says, read the back of the sodas. It's just junk. It is. It is. Jane says, is ginger ale a soda? Yes, it is. You know, more companies make, quote, kind of an organic ginger ale that you can look at the labels, go to Whole Foods or Sprouts and look at the labels. If it's got citric acid in it, it might be irritating. Nancy says, I've been on clonazepam for several years. It seems to help with your anxiety. Awesome. That's not a therapy for IC, but if it's something that's helping you with a separate issue, I say power to you. Just, be informed of the side effects. Let your doctor know of anything that's going on. And I'm really of the opinion that it's very important not just to treat the symptom, but try to get to the root of the problem. And so, if you're, struggling with anxiety, for example, we want to kind of try to figure out why, because you wouldn't need to take it if we can get rid of the anxiety, right? So, having anxiety is very common if you're going through perimenopause with all those crazy hormone swings. So at some point in time, it's really, really nice to go take a class on anxiety like I did. Really changed my life for the better, or find an anxiety expert to help you with it. Nashe says she's thinking about having her bladder removed. I have end stage IC. What are your thoughts on this? Nashe, we have a big discussion area over on the IC Network website, specifically for bladder removal, run by, facilitated or moderated by an IC patient who did have her bladder removed. I have a couple of different thoughts on that. Number one, it's a 6-step treat. It's the last step. There are 5 other steps of treatment that you need to have done completely. Now, when I was diagnosed with IC in 26 years ago, I begged my doctor to take my bladder out. The pain was so intense. It's like, please just take the sucker out. I don't want this anymore. And he said, no, Jill, no, I'm not taking your bladder out. You haven't even tried a quarter of the treatments you can try. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad because I believed him, and I did not have my bladder removed. Ironically, 2 years ago, I had a hysterectomy and I had a hydrodistension. My bladder's completely healthy. I would have removed a completely healthy bladder because I am in a different subtype. And that is indeed where bladder removal gets really tricky, because some people want their bladders out to reduce pain, not understanding that their pain really isn't coming from their bladder in the first place anyway. the pain is either coming from maybe fibroid tumors, endometriosis, pelvic floor issues, or even some sort of nerve dysfunction. So, really, the only time that bladder removal is really considered is if you have an end stage bladder. This means your normal healthy bladder is like this. It's like the size of a walnut and very shrunken. It means it won't stretch. It will only hold a couple of tablespoons of fluid in it. That's really rare. That is not something that happens in the general patient population. Scarring can happen in the bladder for a number of reasons. And, so if you get to that point, and again, that's a really small group of patients, and I'm so sorry if you're there, that's when having a bladder augmentation where they can attach a section of intestine to it to at least increase your capacity, or having bladder removal with ostomy where you would have a ureter attached to your skin and you would have an ostomy bag, that's viable and for some patients very, very life changing. But if it were me, I would number one want to know all the other therapies first. Number two, I would want to know the direct condition of my bladder. I would want to know my bladder capacity. I would want to know if there's scarring. I would want to know the surgical expertise of the doctor proposing this. I and then I would also want to talk with other patients who have had it done first, and you can do that right over on our website and read their stories. Um, I was working with a man last year who had bladder cancer and had his bladder removed, and it's not for the faint of heart. You will need a lot of help the first 2 months if you do have it done. They can't just send you home for you to recover on your own. It's bowel surgery potentially, depending upon what they do. Then you have to learn how to use the stoma, and you have to learn how to use the bags, and you would need a lot of help. But once you get over that healing process, it can be life changing, but that healing process could take 6 months to a year. Okay. It's a really long, so girl, man, you got to go into this with your eyes wide open. Am I saying don't do it? Absolutely not. There is absolutely a time and place where bladder removal is the only treatment of choice. But I just want you to dot your I's and cross your T's, and let's make sure you've done your work before you get there. And don't be like me, where I asked to have it removed my first year, when we didn't even know about the other subtypes. If you ever want to talk about it, Nishay, please feel free to give me a phone call. I'd be more than happy to talk with you a little bit more about it. Guys, we have a support forum over on the IC Network, icnetwork.org. Just click on support, go to our forum. You'll find there are over 50,000 people who are members. There's data from 15 years in there, lots and lots of posts of people over time where you can hear people considering bladder removal, considering InterStim, considering the other stuff, and then the issues that they faced. All right, hun. Big hug, hun. Big giant hug. Nancy says when the doctor switched her from clonazepam to buspirone, her anxiety elevated. So make sure you tell your doctor that. Hydroxyzine, which is an antihistamine, has what we call a beneficial side effect of being a mild anti-anxiety agent. So when you take hydroxyzine, you're not only helping to reduce mast cell activity in your bladder, you're getting a beneficial side effect of reducing anxiety. So maybe something like that would be reasonable to try. Neshe says her IC started after having a severe kidney infection of ESBL E. coli for 3 years. Holy hell, girl. Wow. You've had it for IC bladder irritation for 10 years now. You've been through all stages. Now I have end stage IC. They want to remove your bladder, but I'm scared. Hun, information is power. You don't need to be scared. You don't need to be scared. You need to learn about it. And over time, whether it's a gunshot victim, whether it's a cancer patient, whether it is a severe infection patient, whether it is an endometriosis patient where the endo is completely compromised the bladder, lots and lots of bladders have been removed successfully. But you just need to do your due diligence here. I want you to really understand, kind of what you can expect. And that's a good question to ask your doctor. I mean, ask your doctor, all right, how many of these have you done? Number one. Number two, what are the issues that these patients face? I need to know about them ahead of time so that I can plan. Number three, how long do you think it will take for me to recover? And so forth. I was working as an example late last year with a 34-year-old who had urethral cancer from the HPV virus, the human papilloma virus. And she ended up with a tumor in her urethra. And so, what they did, because it was a really aggressive HPV driven cancer, is they removed her urethra, they removed her bladder, and she had a total hysterectomy. And then she talked to me, I want to say a month later, and she said, "Why can't I go back to work?" And I'm like, "What? Did they tell you you could go back to work after a month?" She's like, "Yeah." And I said, "You just had the hardest surgery for a woman to ever have, a hysterectomy, combined with the hardest surgery you can have as a urology patient, which is having your bladder and your urethra removed. That post-op recovery takes a lot of time, Nishay. So you just have to have a lot of planning, a lot of family help, and a lot of support. But it is doable. It is doable. And if you want to talk, feel free to give me a call at the IC Network office. I'd be more than happy to try to help you with some of the issues. What do I think of Theracran to prevent UTI? Uh, uh, you'd have to look at the ingredients and make sure it's not an acidic form of cranberry. I'd be much happier with you doing D-mannose, which is one of the ingredients in cranberry that inhibit the ability of bacteria to attach to the bladder wall. They attach instead to the D-mannose. There's no acid in D-mannose. So it'd be better to do D-mannose in my opinion, especially if you're menopausal and you have a fragile bladder wall. Angela says she's noticed her IC's gotten steadily worse with every pound you've gained. I've gained a pound for every bad flare. I'm not sure which is the cause or the fact. Well, remember that when you gain weight, you're putting more pressure on your pelvic floor. And so it may be that you're just stressing out your pelvic floor with the extra weight around your middle. That happens. But the reality is that when you're in pain, when I'm in pain, I'm not going to say you, when I'm in pain, I munch. Cinnamon rolls are my comfort food. I had a cinnamon roll a day uh, for a couple of weeks after my hysterectomy, which would explain why I gained 15 pounds. Aside from the fact that I wasn't capable of doing much more than walking slowly for about 10 months. So, sometimes we react to pain by going for comfort food. And comfort food tends to be kind of fatty or sweeter food, whether it's ice cream or cinnamon rolls or something like that. Simple, fresh, healthy diet, my friend. Lose the fast food, lose the junk food, lose the sugar as much as you can. In fact, a friend of mine was challenging me on my afternoon snack. What was I doing? I don't remember what I was doing. I was doing like pea chips, something like that. And he goes, Jill, could you just like eat a real food? He goes, get some get some celery and eat some celery with almond butter. And it's like, oh, God, I hadn't done that in 10 years. I remember my mom making, as a dessert sometimes when we were kid or as part of our dinner, she would put peanut butter or pimento cheese or cheese and celery, and it was a normal part of our eating. And I'm losing weight because I've just gotten rid of some of that icky stuff. Nishay says you've gone through all 6 steps. Unfortunately, you've repeated them twice. You're exhausted. You've had hydros. Your bladder capacity is 100 cc's under anesthesia. Yeah. Girl, there comes a time and a place. Every day is a new day. Every day is a new opportunity. And if having your bladder removed will give you the opportunity to enjoy life and do things again, then that is a reasonable reason to do it, provided there are no other treatments. I think the other thing I would do, since your symptoms began after a very complex ESBL infection, is I would at least once do a next generation urine test, and let's just make sure your bladder's not infected with a fungi, candida, from all the antibiotics you've taken. We know that many IC patients have fungal infections in their bladder triggering their pain. So if you're not familiar with next generation urine testing, I built a website last year, bladderhealth.org. I would look at that, and I would, at a minimum, honestly, I would definitely do that before, as part of your due diligence workup to the surgery. Let's just make sure there's not some sort of lingering infection in your bladder that could be triggering some of this. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Next generation urine testing, bladderhealth.org. Nishay, really seriously, I think this would be fascinating, just to make sure you got nothing else lingering in there which could be triggering all your pain. If they haven't done it before, I would definitely do it now. It's good hard data. It's good data. Nobody with this, you've stepped away from guessing. You're focusing on the facts, and that is, what are they finding? Next generation urine test will identify good bacteria, bad bacteria, and fungal infections. It's $199. Absolutely worth it. In my opinion, absolutely worth it. It's changing the face of how we're caring for patients with complex infections, because it's helping us identify the infections and the antibiotic resistance genes in those bacteria, so that we know how to treat you correctly. Or they, not we, they. I'm not your doctor. I can't treat you. They, how they will treat you correctly. Hi, Erin. Hi, Karen. Marie says, can you have a fungal infection if you have hunters? Absolutely. Absolutely. Fungal infections happen when you take antibiotics and you disrupt, if not damage, that normal population of good bacteria that normally keep fungus in check, that normally keeps candida in check. And that's why after antibiotics, patients often get yeast infections in their vagina, in their mouth, on their skin. And in fact, systemic yeast infections are very, very dangerous. They commonly happen in hospitals and lead to the death of patients. So there are consequences to taking a lot of antibiotics, and trying to restore that biome is very, very important. Marie did ask, do I think will Dr. Evans do the next generation test? My urologist doesn't do the testing. You can do it yourself in 25 states, hon. You might not need a doctor's signature at all. I mean, basically, you order the test, they send you the kit, you pee in a cup, you suck it into the device, you send it back to them, and there you go. And in some states, you just get your primary care provider to sign it, and they will send the results to your primary care provider. But in California, for example, we can order it on our own. Erin, why does my bladder always feel like it's pulling? Muscle tightness? Yes. If so, I'm sure that's why your bladder's getting irritated. Honey, it's your pelvic floor. And going upstairs is absolutely one of the things that will trigger the pelvic floor. So it's your pelvis that feels like it's pulling. It's your muscle. So we have to figure out why. It sounds like your muscles are very, very tight and or very, very weak. And so you got to work on those muscles. It's not about, that is not bladder disease. That is muscle stuff. And that's not muscle disease. That's some sort of muscle dysfunction, either from weak muscles or tight muscles or damaged muscles. You get it? You get my point, hun? I hope you understand my point there. You guys, you don't throw everything. What did I call it? I just finished up this chapter for a book for Harvard University on pelvic pain, and I said you can't put all your eggs in the bladder bandwagon. You can't put all your eggs in the bladder bandwagon because for many of us, it's not the bladder at all. It's another structure that's traumatizing the bladder, but there's something else driving it. Marie says, I've been taking antibiotics for the last 10 years for repeated UTI kidney infection. I was diagnosed finally with Hunter's. Okay, so again, Marie, the next generation testing, in my opinion, would be absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Just a very interesting piece of your puzzle. You are an anatomical mystery to be solved. And I'm just going to say it again, guys. Listen, when you go to the doctor, especially going to a new doctor, please don't walk in and say you have IC. That doesn't help. You fall down the IC rabbit hole. I want you to instead say, Doctor, here is my symptom. I have a pulling sensation in my pelvis, which whenever I go up and down stairs, it also makes me feel like I need to pee. Can you help me understand what would be triggering that symptom for me? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. What do you say? Do you think we should do a giveaway? I think we should do a giveaway. Okay, so I was at a store that was going out of business and they had my favorite thing. I have a lot of angels in my life. And so there's this line of products that I think are amazing. Let me show it to you. And Nashay for sure, hun, you're getting one of these. I know you're struggling. So check this out. Look at this. This is it's a little angel. Oh, here's one. I got one hanging right above me. Look at this. You are not broken. You are seen, loved, cherished, and celebrated. Okay. This is the type of messaging I want in your life. I need you to have things like this in your home that you see every day that give you an encouraging word. So I've got you are not broken, you are loved, seen, and cherished. I've got permission granted to awaken, seek, and I mean, these are so gorgeous. They're so gorgeous. I love them. So this is my giveaway. Look at how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If any of you want an angel for encouragement, I want you to send me your mailing address to icnetwork@mac.com, and it will be my privilege to send you something. These are from Kelly Ray Roberts. I have another one. Hold on a sec. I have another one in my bedroom. Hold on. Look at this. So she's a big hanger, right? And she has a little thingy in there. And she says, love, unleash your joy, be yourself, celebrate the abundance in your life, embrace vulnerability. She's kind of faded now because I've had her in my bedroom for some time. All right. So anybody who wants an angel, one of the little angels, I will send it to you. Icy sister to icy sister. It's important to have something that inspires you and motivates you and comforts you in your daily life. Okay? icnetwork@mac.com. All right, my friends, listen, I'm going to have to go. And I've got to go pick up my mother again and figure out what to make them for dinner. Anybody have any ideas for dinner for a 96-year-old and a 90-year-old that have trouble? My dad, my dad finally has prostate issues, right? And so he can't do any tomato. So I can't make chili like I used to for him. He can't do any pasta with tomato sauce. I've been telling him, I said, Dad, now you know what it's like to be an IC patient. That's how I was. That's how I was 30 years ago and still am. He finally is having sympathy because some nights he has to get up and pee every 30, 40 minutes. And so figuring out that diet for him is really challenging. I know I can do macaroni and cheese, anything with beef, but if anybody has good ideas for dinner tonight, I'd love to hear it. Andrea just had a next gen taste. Turns out you do have an infection caused by 5 different bacteria, none of which commonly show up in culture. So there are lactobacillus, which are good bacteria, and then there are some other bacteria which are bad bacteria. So, Andrea, if you could email me a copy of your next gen report. I mean, just of the bacteria, I don't need to see the name and address. I'd love to hear what the bacteria were. What bacteria did they find? And also what your antibiotic gene study found. Did you get that data? That's such important data. Mine, when I did it, I had a resistance gene to an antibiotic I have never in my life taken. I have never taken it. And so we can only assume that I acquired this antibiotic resistance gene, this bacteria with it, from meat, from some sort of food that had, that had been exposed to antibiotics that grew it. So it's really fascinating. Erin, did I see your question? So how do you get a doctor to help you with retraining your bowels? I've done physical therapy, but for some reason it didn't help with your bowel issue. Erin, you've got to work with a gastroenterologist and somebody who specializes in irritable bowel. That's what I did. And ultimately, in the end, a lot of bowel issues go right back to nerve dysfunction, biome disruption, and or muscle tension. So, I mean, the best the best doctor appointment I've ever had was about 10 years ago with an IBS specialist. And I went because I was dealing with a lot of rectal pain. Oh, so much rectal pain. Sitting and working was really, really hard. And what was consistently happening for me back then is that I had an internal hemorrhoid, a little tiny sucker, like the size of a tiny sunflower seed, but it was right on top of a nerve. And anytime anything sat on it or crossed over it, it hurt like hell. And I constantly struggled with hard bowel movements that was just hard to pass stool, right? Hard marbles. You know what I mean? We all go through points where you're dealing with hard marbles down there. And she said to me, she said, Jill, how many grams of fiber do you eat a day? And I was like, I don't know. Nobody's ever asked me that question before. And she said, well, you're supposed to eat 20 to 25 grams of fiber to have a normal bowel movement. I was like, okay, well, I'm sure I'm eating a really good diet. I'm completely confident that I'm eating well. And she goes, no, 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 no. You go home and you look at the labels and you count it up and you email me and you tell me how many grams of fiber you're actually eating a day. I was eating 6 grams of fiber a day. No wonder. No wonder I wasn't normal. No wonder I was struggling to have a bowel movement. No wonder I had so much rectal pain. And when I actually amped it up and got myself up to 20 to 25 grams of fiber, oh, hallelujah, holy hell, wow, it's so much better. And anytime I struggle, even more recently, if I start feeling things getting uncomfortable again, I go right back up to that fiber and I try to get my fiber intake up again. So that combined with probiotics, which eat the fiber, they need the fiber to be healthy, along with bowel function in general needing fiber. It is something that they're always going to focus on, Erin, in addition to any other muscle issues that you might have. Girl, call me next week. Let's talk. icnetwork@mac.com. icnetwork@mac, M as in Mary, A as in Apple, C as in Charlie.com. Nishay, I'm putting one aside just for you because I know you're really struggling. But anybody who's struggling, you want an angel, you email me. I've got 10 to send out. icnetwork@mac.com, okay? Jasmine, do you have issues with depression and anxiety? That's very, very common in IC patients. Who wouldn't be anxious when you're dealing with pain that nobody can explain? I have a really good video on our website about managing anxiety and all that. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to shut down the stream so we can pick that up in our next support group meeting. I will be, I don't know. Let me look at my calendar here. So I'm not scheduled to do a support group meeting this Sunday, but I will definitely be doing one next week. And we're getting ready to ramp up these meetings and doing them more frequently. So Jasmine, I promise we'll cover that. Okay. All right, my friends, I gotta go. I will see you later. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. For those of you in pain, I hope that you find relief. Please, if you can, get outside, get into the sunshine, sit in the sun for a while. Remember, there is no shame or blame when you have IC. I don't want you to carry any extra weight on your shoulders. You have done absolutely nothing wrong. You're no different than someone who was hit by a car. You deserve love. You deserve kindness. You deserve caring. If you need help from your family, ask for help from your family. Don't hide it. Don't suffer in silence at home alone. Call somebody and say, hey, I could really use a little bit of help, especially if you need help getting to the doctor. Okay. Really, really important. Every day you have homework for 5 minutes, for 15 minutes, I need you to do something every single day for your bladder and your pelvic floor. I don't know what it is, whether it's following the diet, driving by Starbucks, not having that soda, hint, 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 whoever that was. Do something for your bladder every day. Number two, you need to do something for your spirit and soul every day because this is hard. You've never worked as hard as you're working right now. It's hard. I know you're working your butt off to try to get better. I need you to give yourself some comfort, whether it is going and taking a walk by redwood trees in nature, going to church, finding something that will give you some spiritual comfort and soul comfort is important. For me, that's usually listening to Joel Osteen in my car. I really, really love listening to him. And last but not least, I need you to improve your noggin here. I need you to get your knowledge level up, hon. And being on Facebook or YouTube, not necessarily going to be get you where you need to go. I need you to come visit the IC Network, rated #1 by Harvard Medical School and the University of London for the quality of the information that we provide. So if you can read one article a day, one blog a day on our website, on the ICA website, just get your butt off of social networking, out onto the web and start reading things. And I double dog dare anybody to go over to the National Library of Medicine, which is pubmed.gov, read articles over there. Come on, nobody can ever tell me the IC is all in my head. I'm going to slam them down with research. I want you to be able to do the same thing, but it begins with you doing your homework and reading one article a day. All right, I got to go. She's probably sitting there going, where is Jill? Okay, I'll see you later. Goodbye, Facebook. Woohoo! All right, YouTube, I will see y'all later. If I can move this page, move this up so that I can actually get to my end stream button. All right, guys, see you later.